Hello, this is Heather from Great Oaks Farm. Join us as we bring you along for canning yellow beans. Stay tuned. Hello from Great Oaks Farm. So we are doing a slightly unexpected video. A little bit early. We are canning some yellow beans today, and as you can see, our plants are kind of withered because we got some early frost. So we are sort of on a mad dash to pick as many beans as we can to can. And yeah, so let me just show you what happens so you can kind of see the leaves have withered and what's going to happen the next 2 nights. We have some more cold weather coming, and I will show you. So you can see on the bean, first of all, it's kind of floppy, but you can see it sort of becomes translucent, and so the frost will kill the beans. And we probably should have been picking and canning already, but we have been busy on the farm doing other things, and as you can see, our garden is just a little bit neglected. That happens when you're just working full-time and sort of homesteading, hobby farming, and this isn't your full-time job. You just do the best you can. So we are frantically picking so that we can, and we will show you our process of canning as we go. So here we are just cutting the yellow beans to size to fit inside the cans. They have already been washed and the stems and ends cut off.
Hopefully I don't cut my fingers on camera. That would be good.
So we're a little busy right now, but we have close to 2 bushels that we're planning on canning today. But there is, I mean, lots and lots of bushels out in the field. So if they survive the cold weather, we will be canning beans all of the beginning of next week. Okay, and we will come back for the next step. Filling up all of the jars with hot water to sterilize them. Okay, We are here in my filthy garage. I have this little camp stove. It's a 2-burner stove, an Explorer 2-burner stove, and you can see I sort of overdid it with one of the pots, but this is how I sterilize the cans. So as you can see, I brought them both to a boil. So both came to a boil, so those are nice and hot, and we are ready to go ahead back inside and start packing them and get them into the pressure canner. Okay, so we are at the packing stage now. So we are pulling out the hot jars and adding a teaspoon of salt to them. And then we're packing them in with a little bit of water, but also leaving some head space. You want to leave about 1 inch of head space for the pressure canning process. Now, there are some old schools of thought that you can water bath can them. I believe that you would have to do that for 180 degrees consistently for about 3 hours, but I personally don't recommend water bath canning beans just because there's too much room for error there. I always make sure that I pressure can my beans. So also with the new ball lids, you don't have to boil them like you used to. This is hot water, but it's not boiling. So yeah, and then they just go right over into the pressure canner, and the pressure canner water is at 180 degrees as well. So the goal is to make sure that you're not shocking your mason jars, and what that means is putting a cold jar in a hot pressure canner. That is what causes the breakage on your mason jars. So you want to make sure you're hot packing everything, and if you're not hot packing everything, you want to cold pack everything. And cold packing is a longer process because essentially you cold pack it and you cold pack it into cold water in the pressure canner, and then you have to wait for everything to heat up. So that does take a little bit longer. So we hot pack everything. I am not blanching my beans because I like them to be pretty fresh when they're coming out of the can, and then we just cook them that way. They're not fully cooked when they come out of the can, they're just kind of partially cooked. So, but that for me is the best way. They just taste more fresh and retain more of the natural vitamins in the bean. So that is the process for that. As you can see, we have quite a bit. We did probably 1 3/4 bushels, and we are, I believe, already up to 14 quarts. So
this will be the 14th. Right?
This one here is the 14th. So we still have
Another 14 right there, maybe?
Probably close to another 14. So not quite 2 bushels, yielding almost 28 quarts of beans. We have a lot more out there still, so we're just gonna go until we drop and do as much as we possibly can so that we can get as much food up as possible. We like to do our own canning just because it's healthier. Yes, it's more expensive as far as time spent. Seeds aren't too terribly expensive, but you know, you have to hand weed and do all of that stuff if you don't want to use herbicides or anything like that. So yes, it does definitely take longer. So in that way, it does cost more money, but all in all, it's so much healthier for you. No chemicals or anything. So we're gonna head over to the pressure canner now, and I'm gonna show you. Okay, so this one has 7 in it already. And so what we're looking for with the pressure canner is we're looking for a consistent steam to be coming out of that little porthole. So you can kind of see the steam. It's fairly consistent. So we're gonna go ahead. Yes, it's in the drawer. We're gonna go ahead and put the little weight on there. And so now what that's going to do is you will see this little vent will pop up, and then you will slowly start seeing the pressure rise. So our goal here, oh, it popped up. So our goal here is 10 pounds of pressure for 25 minutes for quarts. So if you can see that gauge, we want it to get all the way up to 10. And then once it hits 10, we are gonna run it for 25 minutes. And then it will be done, except you need to let the pressure from 10 work its way back down to 0 completely by itself. And that only then can you go ahead and take this little weight off and then take the lid itself off. So it's a process. Probably all in all, we're talking about close to an hour per batch. So we have 3 pressure canners, so we can do 21 all at the same time. I made sure that I got a stovetop that would allow for doing 21 cans at a time. I do not put them for pressure canning on my canner that I showed you that I sterilize my jars with. And the reason why is you need a lower BTU top, or else it will ruin the pot. And those camp stoves are too high of a BTU, and so they would ultimately compromise the metal on the pressure canners. So I cannot use those to do additional. I wish I could, but I can do 21 at a time. That's pretty good. That's going to tire us out fairly decently as it is. So yeah, so I will show you guys once and you can actually start, you can see that it's slowly started climbing. It takes it a little while for it to get to 10 pounds. It's not degrees. If I said degrees earlier, I meant 10 pounds of pressure. It's PSI. So we want it to be 10 PSI for 25 minutes. I misspoke before if I said degrees. I can't remember. But we will come back and we will show you once we get to the next step. Okay, we are at 10 pounds. And so we have set our timer for 25 minutes. And so now it is a bit of a game with my burner to kind of play around with, you know, what setting that it's on to keep it consistently at the 10 pounds of pressure. So I do kind of have to move it around a little bit to make sure that I'm constantly at 10 pounds. So it's not something that you can do and walk away from. You really need to kind of stay by it and make sure that it's consistently always running at 10 pounds. Okay, so we are here at the final stage, and as you can see, it is dark outside. We are now pulling the cans out, and we are setting them on a towel. And the cans will pop, and when they do, they kind of make a popping noise, and then you know that they are sealed. So you can see it doesn't pop up and down, so it's nice and sealed. And these other ones here that are just coming out are not yet, so those will pop and seal. So we made 35 quarts this time around, and hopefully that gives you a decent idea of how to can beans. It is time consuming, but otherwise fairly simple. Okay, give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and we will see y'all in the next video. Bye.